Hello, everyone, and welcome to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphins. As you know, I'm your girl, Phins85. But today, we lost a great legend, a great man, a great coach, someone who really epitomized Dolphin culture, our history. You cannot talk about the Miami Dolphins without mentioning Don Shula. So today we will not have the normal Finsanity Mondays where me and TD are interacting, joking around, cracking up. We actually want to hear from you, your stories about Don Shula, how he impacted your life, whether it might have been from the 1972 perfect season or to his last season when he coached, maybe the year Evan Marino. Whatever you want to come on and talk about in regards to Don Shula, you are welcomed. Welcome to TD Talk. Today we are honoring the great Don Shula. TD, you can have the floor.
What's up, Phins?
Hi, how are you, sir?
I'm all right. Just sad day. I'm just trying to be uplifted in spirit right now, which I hope a lot of people are. It's definitely, like you said, it's a sad day. In the football world, it's a sad day, man. Right. It's just so much about Don Shula. A few things that I wanted to mention about Don Shula. See, a lot of people don't know about Don Shula. Some people may say that I don't even know much about Don Shula because I wasn't even alive when he did the core of some of the most brilliant coaching of his entire career. But a few things that stood out to me with Don Shula is there was a quote that he said, all right?
Okay.
He said, "Success is not forever and failure isn't fatal." And I love that quote. Whenever I heard that he said it, let me repeat that. Success is not forever and failure isn't fatal. Success isn't forever. In other words, take advantage of the opportunities that you're given. If you're having a moment of success, live in that moment, enjoy it, take advantage of it because it is not forever. And failure isn't fatal, which also means, guys, don't be scared to fail. Failure isn't fatal. It doesn't kill you. What it does is makes you stronger. A lot of people learn lessons via failure. And I was listening on a radio podcast today from Larry Zonka. Okay.
Yeah.
Zonka was telling one of the stories about one of the things that stood out the most to him with Don Shula was the year before they went undefeated and won the Super Bowl. He said they had went and they played against the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl VI. He said the Dallas Cowboys had destroyed them and beat them. And when the game was over and everybody got in the locker room, he talked about how Don Shula closed the door, kicked everybody out except the coaches and players. And he sat them down and he told them, "I need you all to remember how this feels because we're going to use this feeling to drive us next year. We're going to use this feeling to make sure that we take it one game at a time and we don't take it for granted and we give it everything that we have every single game. 1 week at a time. We're not going to worry about the long run. We're not going to worry about all of that. 1 week at a time." And that is what sprung on the undefeated season in which they also won a Super Bowl. And that speaks volumes, guys. And Zonka says he credits that moment right there, the moment of failure, which isn't fatal. He credits that moment right there to the reason why the team went undefeated and won a Super Bowl due to Don Shula and his words to the team. And when I heard that, it was just a beautiful thing. It just put things into perspective of what we're trying to accomplish as an organization today. It puts things into perspective in what we're trying to do overall and bringing a Super Bowl back to Miami. I kind of got choked up earlier when someone said he didn't make it to see us win another Super Bowl. That's tough. That is very tough. But at the same token, we know that he's going to be watching over us. We know that he's going to be our guardian angel, helping Flores lead us to the promised land. And that is the goal overall. Above anything is us getting back to glory and us remembering how to get there. And another thing that stood out to me, Phins, was Don Shula said that he hoped to be remembered for playing within the rules and for showing class and dignity. a lot of people, and I'm gonna keep it 100 here, okay? There's a lot of swirl on Twitter with a lot of people going back and forth because of that statement.
Yeah.
And you can't say a better statement, because no matter who you have as the best coach of all time, the one thing you cannot say about Don Shula is he will be remembered for playing within the rules and showing class and dignity. Showing class and dignity. There is no question mark on his success in the NFL. There's no asterisk on his success in the NFL. And that's the beautiful part of the greatness of his coaching. And man, it just takes me back. It takes me back.
Man, listen, I was doing some research, because Shula is not my era at all. I could mention the coach that I remember from when I was the youngest, but then people they go crazy, because then they start putting my age together, which is like the greatest mystery on here. But no, every Hall of Famer other than Jason Taylor has been impacted in our franchise by Don Shula. They have played for him.
Every Hall of Famer
speaks to his greatness and his coaching ability. And then you talk about the no-name defense, the killer bees. The man has given us amazing decades and years. Now, a lot of people want to, talk about how him and Dan didn't get it together and didn't get it done. But even if Dan would have got one, the biggest Super Bowl to us would still be that 1972, because he is the only coach that when that last game came down to it and it mattered, he showed up. And our team, we showed out. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not Scott Jackson. But Don Shula, from what I hear and from what I have heard and what I've seen today, he has had a great impact on this game beyond words. And he has reached a pinnacle that a lot of teams every year try to reach, and they always seem to fall short. And it's crazy, that the 72 team still gets together just to celebrate, their undefeated season after the last undefeated team, loses, and they get champagne and they just celebrate. So now, I mean, this upcoming year, the years after it won't be the same without Coach being there. And I know those guys are going to miss him, and they're going to feel that. So I'm just really, I'm really interested and excited to hearing what people who actually experienced the Shula era have to say about him and what they remember most about coaching, whether it's a memorable game, whatever it is. Me and TD are going to drop the link, and you guys are more than welcome. This is, for you guys to come on and just have a day to remember this great man, this great coach that we've had. So
yeah,
please.
And hopefully we can get some of the individuals who remember when he was our coach, who remembered quite vividly, his years and his tenure as a coach. Come backstage, guys. We want to hear from you all, because as individuals like Phinsanity and myself, I'm 35 years old. I didn't get to see it all.
Right.
I didn't get to see it all, so I want to hear from some of you all. You all would know a lot better than me. So before we bring people on, I did want to read a statement from Patriots head coach Bill Belichick on the passing of Don Shula. He said, Don Shula is one of the all-time great coaching figures and the standard for consistency and leadership in the NFL. I was fortunate to grow up in Maryland as a fan of the Baltimore Colts, who under Coach Shula were one of the outstanding teams of that era. My first connection to Coach Shula was through my father, whose friendship with Coach Shula went back to their days in Northeast Ohio. I extend my deepest condolences to the Shula family and the Dolphins organization. That is from Bill Belichick, Patriots head coach. We appreciate that, Coach Belichick. And me personally, I just hope that the Patriots fans can extend the same condolences and love during these times. But we appreciate the love coming out of New England. Earlier today, we had some love coming out of Buffalo. And we're going to bring Jets Unleash on. What's going on, man?
What's up? TD Nation. Good. I wasn't in the generations of back then. I'm actually, to be honest, I am a Jets fan, but I am sad to hear one of the legends, one of the biggest legends that you could arguably say could be Battle is Battle, the Bill Belichick. Just to see him die, it's a sad day for the NFL, for Dolphins nations. So I just wanted to come in and give my condolences to you guys, and sorry for a great loss.
Well, we appreciate that, man. We love you for that. It's all family. It's AFC East family. I'm glad to see in moments like this we could all come together and show some love for one another. So trust me when I tell you, we definitely appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Take peace.
All right. If Insanity, we got Shake Money.
Shake, good, great. How are you? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Well, I'm not afraid to show my age. I will. Unfortunately, my last memory of Shula was in 1995. It was a Saturday morning. I was setting up for an event because my brother used me for free labor, so I had to do a setup. And it was a Saturday morning. I'll never forget watching the Buffalo Bills game in the playoffs, which was Shula's last game. But I have a quick fact that nobody ever seems to bring up, that Don Shula was the last coach not to use headphones. When he was, if you look at all the games, if you look at any of his games, he didn't have the headphones on. He didn't use headphones. That's how smart he was. He had everything inside his head. He didn't use any headphones. He was the last coach to do that.
That's amazing.
And a cool story is, I remember Ken Bocamper saying that he went to Shula one day and said, "Hey, Shula, how come you never pat me on the back whenever I do a good play? You always yell at me when I'm messing up." He goes, "That's my job. My job isn't to pat you on the back. My job is to let you know when you're messing up." And I think that's why I labeled Brian Flores the next Shula, not because of his winning, but because of the discipline he's going to bring to this team.
Nice.
That's why I think that this team was lacking after Jimmy Johnson left, rather. And the greatest memories I have of Don Shula was Monday nights. After the game, he would be on Channel 10. I remember this vividly like it was yesterday. It was him, the great late Jim Mandich, Jimmy Suffalo, and they would talk about the game the following day, unless it was a Monday night game. And they had a segment which I'm hoping that one day you bring up. It was the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is self-explanatory, which they'll bring up the good, what was good about the game, what was bad about the game, and what was the ugly part about the game. And I think that I was very fortunate to start my Dolphin fanhood right Don Shula's era, you know. So anyway, I'm gonna get moving and let some other people get on, and I appreciate you for giving me this moment. Thanks.
Thank you. That was a lot of information I didn't know.
I know.
So like this is also about me learning about, like, I know kind of his greatness, but to just learn something like that, thank you so much, Shake. It means a lot to me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks, Shake Money. We got Darik. What's going on, man?
Darik.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. It's hot, but I'm good. Ain't had a haircut in a couple weeks, bro. I'm struggling.
I understand, man. But talk to us, man. What do you remember about Don Shula?
To be real with you, I don't remember much because I'm only 29, so he was way ahead of me. But I just remember, me and my dad, he grew up a Dolphins fan, so he was around during that time, and he would tell me just the swag they had. Talked about the discipline, the swag, and just how they were the big dogs on the block. And I remember him showing me that old Dolphins versus Bears, the 95 game, showing me the old film.
The
And
last season.
yeah, the last season. And that was really my first taste of the fanhood. He was just going on and on about how, just the glory days,
Man,
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool to see everybody giving their condolences and stuff, people who aren't even with the Dolphins. So it just makes it even a little bit more special,
Do you know any movies that Don Shula was in?
To be real with you, probably I don't. I'm young, man. I'm trying to tell you, I don't really know much. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, he probably was on that Pet Detective, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
That's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, that's the only one I could think of. I was trying to think if there was anything else I've seen him on, but I think that's the only thing that he probably appeared in.
Man.
Yes, man. He was, and I realized he was a Capricorn. January 4th was his birthday. He born 1930 on January 4th out of Grand River,
he did
Ohio.
The deep research on him, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I was just, sometimes it's moments like this where it forces you to go back and learn more about an individual that you should have already known a lot about. And you start to realize, man, one of the greats, where did it all start? How did it go? Because a lot of people don't even know he coached the Baltimore Colts. They're like, Baltimore Colts, that's two different teams. Back then,
I knew about that.
And,
I knew about that. I think again, it all came from my dad because again, he was around during that time, and he would tell me he started off with the Colts and then came with Miami, and of course that's what he's most memorable for because that's where he had the most success and most years and all of that stuff. But I did know a little bit about him. I wasn't around to see him winning and all the success that we had.
I know. We can only wish we were, man.
just like most people as a Dolphins fan, I wasn't around during the glory days, but I read and listen to interviews and stuff like that kind of touch on it. So I'm excited for the future.
Absolutely, man. And what I love is that he's instilled a format of how to move forward in the future. So hopefully Flores is, and that's the thing that I love. Flores has learned a lot, even in a short amount of time with Don Shula. Yeah. I already saw that they've connected before and things like that. So hopefully those traits and those attributes rub off on Flores. But we appreciate you, Darik.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Before you cut me off, man, before you switch over, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
My name's not Darik, it's Derek, bro.
You know Derek. What? And that's the first time I've been correct. Thank you, Derek. I'm like Darik. All right, Derek. I probably still might get it wrong a few times, but you forgive me. I'm gonna get you right. All right.
No, I just had to finally have a chance to tell you. I know in the comments I've said it before, but there's so many comments come through there. It's easy to miss it. So
sorry about that.
You're fine, man. No, you're okay. I appreciate y'all.
I'll try my best to get it right. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
You too. Awesome. What's going on? Oh, you said something, Phins?
No, who's there? I don't see them.
We got Sharif. What's up, man?
Sharif, there we go.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Okay.
No, we're good. We're
how
good.
How y'all doing, Miami Dolphin fans?
Awesome, man.
I'm doing great. I just want to say condolences to the Shula family. I'm fortunate to learn a ton about Shula because I particularly listened to Joe Rose show over the years, 560 WQAM with the first team, Neil Rogers, Goldie, Jim Mad Dog Mandage. They would always have on Zonk or Cushionberry. So I would hear all of the little intakes and insights and nuggets. So, and I was able to appreciate how he taught them. And so I can say today, Dolphin fans, that the same exact thing, eerie enough as it is, that Coach Flores is doing, which is no penalties. I will not tolerate you to be an alcohol or a politic in the locker room. I would not tolerate. Uh, if you're making any mistakes, you will be on the bench and you will be gone. And those things right there, I see in Flores, and that was the stories that Zonka and Cushenberry and Greasy gave about Shula. This is the team that he wanted in training camp. This is the team that he wanted throughout the years. And even though Shula didn't have a running game in the '90s, we were still always penalized. We were always disciplined, and we will always not beat ourselves like that. And so that's one of the little tidbits I heard from listening to Joe Rose show over the years with Cushenberry and
Nice.
Zonka, and no tolerance. He would you know, Shula would have an aura of you before you get to his office. The coaches from the position coaches would really try to hang on to you and warn you and give you heads up, because if it comes down to Shula coming to you, yeah. So
Not good.
great family. Shula does so much in the community in Miami. I could go on and on, but I'll let someone else get in. But it's tons of stories I have about Shula, Jim Mondog, Joe
Listen.
Rose. Uh, Shula is a great coach, the greatest of all time. I'll let some others get in, and yeah, just representing here from Bahamas. Love you all. You guys take care.
Thank you so much, Sharif,
Thank you.
man. That was awesome, man.
All right, man.
All right, fins up, bro.
Yeah, I
Man, that's
mean,
what's up, man. That's Sharif from the Bahamas, guys. Our Bahamas family with us. What were you saying, Finsanity?
wait, someone said Shula acquired 3 Hall of Fame franchise quarterbacks.
Mm.
Mike, you can
Acquired.
come on here and speak your piece on that. Because I don't know what you mean by the word acquired. So
Yeah, Mike, this is the perfect time for you to come on, man. We'd love to hear from you, bro.
right, we can, it's time of peace and happiness and mourning.
Yes.
So we're not going to come at
What's
you.
up? What's up, Michael?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Today's a tough day as a fellow Miami Dolphin fan. I think we all know Don
Yeah.
Shula is the greatest of all time. No doubt about it. One of the fondest stories I have is I'm from Rhode Island. So being here is really New England Patriot territory. Um, but during the 1993 season, that was right around the time that Shula was about to break the all-time record, and it was the game against the Philadelphia Eagles. My local network in Rhode Island actually showed the game in its entirety. So I got to witness Don Shula breaking the record, and
Wow.
it was one of the most powerful moments for me as a Dolphin fan and just growing up, because I was really and my family is really from the Dolphins. My father was the one that got me into it. He was around to see 72, 73. So he was there, and he basically got me to the Dolphin family, where my where I am, it's really Patriot country. So and it continues to be that way. I believe that the spirit of Shula will be a presence on the Dolphins coming this upcoming year, and I think that's the one thing that you see. And to piggyback off of the last caller from the Bahamas, you can already see that with Brian Flores and what he's doing, the no nonsense, the TNT, and that was really what Shula was back in the day. So the similarities are definitely there, and hopefully the next generation will get to appreciate and enjoy what we all were able to witness with Don Shula, what he meant to all of us as Miami Dolphins. And I think that's the best thing to really say.
Man,
Thank you
thank
so
you
much,
so
Mike.
much for that, man. That was amazing.
That was
Um,
beautiful.
Thank you.
Mike, and you still stay up north, Mike?
I'm in Rhode Island, man. I've always been. I'm lifelong. I've been in Rhode Island all my life.
Well, have you been catching the Fins games?
Oh yeah, actually, every year a couple of my buddies was able to get me tickets to go to Gillette. So I actually was there when the Dolphins beat the Patriots this past season, when we basically
Nice.
wrecked the Patriots season. And actually, a funny side note, I actually got messages from Kansas City fans thanking us for what they did. So yeah, it was
Congrats.
some fun times. It was definitely some fun times.
That's what's up, man. Make sure you represent the Dolphins in Patriot Nation, all right?
Oh,
The
most
enemy
definitely, brother.
territory.
No, I got you. I got you, guys. Always, always, and forever. Fins up, guys.
Fins up.
Fins up.
Thank you.
Always great to hear these stories, man. Who we have now? We got Havoc One. What's going on, man?
Havoc. It's nice to put a face to it. We can't hear you. I can't hear him. Can you hear him?
No. We can't hear you.
Yeah.
You might just need to
And you know
click
what? It might be because it's Bluetooth. I wonder. That shouldn't be a problem.
Not
though.
sure. Yeah, Mike, Havoc, you'll have to go out and come back in. Maybe it's something going on with the audio. Oh, that's tough.
Oh, he might. I think he has the plug-in ones. Give him 30 seconds. Let's give him. We're all here for Shula.
We're
Oh,
good.
you have a donation, TD.
Oh, let's see. I think we had a few of them. All right, let me go down. All right, that's from Debo Self-Made Miller. Said, rest in peace, Shula, undefeated 72 Dolphins. Absolutely, man. Thank you for that. And forever and always, man. We lost the legend. Can you hear us, Havoc? Yeah, it's not working. The microphone. If you're on a computer or something, change the settings over to it. Make sure that it's all good, man. Hey, guys, so if you want to come on, say a few things that you remember about Don Shula, because I think what happened was the backstage had emptied out. So if you were backstage, go ahead and come back in now. I'm going to place the link in the comment section so that we can hear from more of you all about Don Shula. What's your thoughts? Let me see here. Can you hear now, Havoc? Oh, I think he's out.
Yeah, looks like he's frozen.
In the meanwhile, we have our boy Vic. What's going on, Vic?
Oh, can I be honest?
What's up, guys?
This is
How's
the
it going?
person I have been waiting
Going.
to hear from, because I know Vic has stories, and I don't know where my dad is, but my dad needs to get on here and get on so he can tell his, Shula stories. But Vic, the floor is yours, man.
Let's set this up right so you guys can see me. It's a sad day. It's a sad day. I feel like I've lost a friend. Because going back, 53 years old, and like I put in the comments, I don't remember watching the Super Bowl in '72, and I think I remember like the very end of it because everybody was so excited, and everybody was like crazy. But at the very end, I remember the house just erupting and cheering, there being so much joy and exhilaration that it's been, Miami Dolphin football has been in my blood since I was born. I don't remember anything else sports-wise. Living in Miami and South Florida, Davie, Opelika. I was born in Key West, so I've got sand in my feet already. But it's sad. It's like losing somebody that you watched your whole life that meant so much to you as a Dolphin member. Even I think even more than if something like this happened to any of the other players. I'm not going to say a name because that just would be bad. But this is one of the greatest Dolphin members since the beginning. And to lose the grandfather of Dolphin football is what I call it. You're losing the best guy out there. And I just, I can watch every football game, every chance I had, every season I had. So for 50 years, I've known nothing but Dolphin football. So to lose someone who was great and an inspiration of that and who had the best integrity, for the game and really made the game what it is today with Dan Marino in the passing game and to do what he did with the running game in 70, 72, 71. It's a genius man. It was a man of great that did something for us in the whole sport. It wasn't just football. It was the integrity and and the intention that no matter what, we're gonna do the right thing, and that means a lot. That means more than anything in this world nowadays.
Absolutely, man. Because I'll go ahead and open that bag real quick because there's a lot of stuff that was going online today, a lot of back and forth because a lot of people are upset that Don Shula had actually pointed out that the most important thing he wanted to be remembered by is doing it the right way. You know, doing it with integrity. And a lot of people are taking that as a jab at Bill Belichick. And I wanted to make sure people knew that I don't think the malintent is there like people think. This is just how he felt. He felt like he did it the right way. He's the most winningest coach. And we're talking about he was a coach in the NFL that didn't even play 16 games the entire time.
Right.
So
right.
To be the most winningest coach and didn't even have 16 games per season, that says a lot, guys. It says a whole lot. So even if a coach comes up and passes that record, you still got to look at how many opportunities he could have had if it was 16-game seasons.
Well, it was a different time, and it was a different, football was totally different than it is today. I mean, it was smash mouth. I mean, how many times do you see Marino get hit? Even when, Greasy, I mean, these guys were like, it was a different sport. It was not, you cannot get those kind of yards unless you had somebody like Marino back then. You had someone who could throw the ball, 300-400 yards a game. It was unseen before that. And Don Shula is the one that made that happen. He's the one that, made Marino who he was, because, I thought about that on the way home today, and I thought, where would the Dolphins be today without Don Shula, without that 71-72 season? Where would they be as a team? Where would they be as South Florida football? We may not even be the same likable Dolphins anymore. I mean, he started it all.
Mm-hmm. He was a standard for and I'm glad you brought that up, Vic, because that's the most underrated piece of his legacy. He brought dignity and class to Miami. Mm-hmm. He brought dignity and class to Miami. And you're right, Vic. Imagine us not doing what we did in the Don Shula era. Who are the Miami Dolphins then?
Right.
What
we could be Tampa Bay.
Oh,
we could be. I'm not saying anything bad about Tampa Bay people, folks, because I rooted for them when they went to the Super Bowl. I'm still a Florida person. So, but the thing about it, how long did Tampa Bay have to get out of the quagmire of being so bad of a team? How long did it take them? We were in the Super Bowl in 71, 72, and we lost it the year before that. 3 years in a row. And start now as a new team in the league. Who does that? Nobody does that. Nobody's ever done that before.
It's crazy, man. And that's why he jumped out of the gate. Gate, and it just, all I could do is say this, Vic. Every time I think about Don Shula and his legacy, I just think of now, because we can all hope and wish that Flores can become even half of what Shula was. I'm just very hopeful that, we can relive some of the days that this man brought us. Great days, happy days, days where fans were proud to be Miami Dolphin fans, days that allowed my father to have me sitting on the living room floor as a little kid watching games, watching Dan Marino and those guys, not knowing much about football, but if it wasn't for what Shula came and brought to the organization, there's a great chance my dad wouldn't have had me even sitting on that floor watching those football games to learn that this is our team. So it goes a long way. He brought Miami football to Miami, and that's just real talk.
Yeah.
I mean, since we're talking about, go ahead. Go ahead. No, since we're talking about dads, I remember, watching my dad, and for a very long time, it seemed like in the fourth quarter, he would get so anxious. This is after Shula, because he knew that we did not have the coaching in place to finish out those games. And I could just see, like, he's so hopeful for the first 3 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, it's like something hit him and something snapped. And I remember my dad throwing many of remotes, cell phones and all that, all because the Dolphins blew a fourth quarter lead. And that's something, from what I heard, you didn't have to worry about, Shula. Once the game was in him, he had it. You were playing from the first all the way until there were zeros on that scoreboard.
You know why? You know why? We got spoiled. Because with Shula and Greasy and Marino, and mostly with Marino, we could play every game. You had to know, and you had the feeling, and I still have it. And it's hard to break because this is what you guys have been going through the last 20. And I see your TD when he says this, that he's so worried at the end of the game that you're going to blow it, because we never had that problem. We never felt that way. If we were behind, we were coming back and winning. We knew we were going to win. We never even had a doubt we were going to win. So we had that combination that, nowadays, I just like your dad, I feel bad when we go into the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? More than likely we're going to blow it. But with Shula and with Marino, you never had to worry about that, guys. It was just it was started with Shula, and it went through the rest of the team that we were going to win no matter what. And you had to put your whole heart and your whole desire into it. And I think we lost that near the end of Shula's career because of the fact that the league was changing. And I'm not bad-mouthing Shula at all, but I think he couldn't keep up with the changes. I think if he had some younger assistants under him, he may have done so much better. But I think he just couldn't keep up with the changes. He had 30 years. I mean, he was a great coach for all those years, but I think it got away from him at the end. And I think it's just one of those things that happens with us. We just can't do our jobs anymore like we used to when we get older. So we have to keep people around us that keep us young and change our ideas and make sure that we're going with the times. So I think that's what happened at the end. But still, I would never say anything bad about him. He did everything he could for this community, South Florida, and for the Dolphins, and it was his heart and his soul, and he never changed his whole life. He was always the same guy. And I was going to say this earlier, you talking about Brian Flores. I have never seen a coach that has been so much like Don Shula as a Miami coach, an assistant head coach or anything, that was more reminding me of Don Shula than Brian Flores does. If that is anything to say anything, then that means we're in good shape.
Absolutely. And I feel even better hearing that from you, Vic, man. Some of those who knew Shula in and out and was able to witness especially his glory days, man. It's just a beautiful thing. I'm celebrating Shula's life. I know it's sad for Dolphins Nation, but it's a life that needs to be celebrated because 90 years old is a feat in itself. And on top of that, the accomplishments that he was able to provide in that time frame was just amazing, man. Things that you just can't forget. He impacted multiple generations, so it's always a beautiful thing.
If we all do half as well as he did in our careers and our family life and everything that we mean for our community,
we're winning.
When we do that and we live that way, that's what it's about. It's to be the best at what you do. Be the best you are in your community. Have all these people that we've seen today say all the good things they've said. There's going to be haters. We know there's going to be haters because people just don't want the good to come out. But the people that mean something in this world, when they talk about Don Shula and the sports world and everything goes on, that's what we all want. At the end, we want to make sure that we leave that legacy behind.
No question. At the end of the day, and that's the reality. I mean, no matter how anybody want to slice it, cut it, bite it, chew it, whatever. That's the reality. You want to leave that legacy. And I think that he's accomplished his. He said he want to be remembered by doing it the right way with integrity and class. And Don, you've done it. And we appreciate
Did you guys go back and watch when he got into the Hall of Fame, his speech from the Hall of Fame? Oh my God. TD, when he got to that point, how he wanted to be remembered, I was like almost breaking down. I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we're talking about. Is how he wanted to be remembered is exactly what we're talking about. And he made it. He did it.
Yes.
Man, I got to see if they'll let me play it on here, but we'll see. I'll try to figure that out.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If you want to hang around, Vic, just stay on. You're good, man.
You got it, but I'm good. Go bring somebody else.
All right, Vic. What's up, Wade?
Wade, you gotta take the mute off. You gotta hit the. There you go.
What's up, Wade?
What's going on, Des?
How you doing, sir?
On, man? How are you?
I mean, I'm doing as good as can be expected on a day like this.
I'm sorry. Can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him.
It's You can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
Do you have headphones?
All right, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm driving. I just got out of the building. Let me know if you can hear me. If not, I can get back in a little bit. But
No, now we can
I just
hear you fine.
caught a lot of what. Yeah, I caught a lot of what Vic was saying. I couldn't agree more.
I will say this because when my dad first got home and he didn't even know, so I was like, Dad, did you hear about Don? And he was like, what? I said, well, he passed away, and he was like, what? He's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and like it took him a minute, and then I saw this look in his eyes, and I think it was him going back to every game he's ever seen that man coach. And one thing he said to me is that during that era, you didn't worry about the Dolphins making the playoffs. You were just, waiting, trying to get through the season and see, where everything was going to end up. And they're going to win Super Bowl. You always thought that they weren't contention as long as Don was coaching and all that, just because of his greatness. But just when TD said only 2 losing seasons, I have experienced more than that in my short lifetime. More than 3 times that, 4 times that, as just being a Dolphins fan. Talk about all the 8s and 8s, the 7 and 9s, the 6 and 10s that we had to, suffer through in the last, decade and the one before that. But with Don, you were going to have a winning season. You were going to make the playoffs. And 9 times out of 10, AFC Championship game was going to be on the line for you. And Super Bowl was the mark. You as a Dolphins fan had a different, pride about being a Dolphins fan then. And I think that's something that my generation is waiting to experience, where we can, like TD was saying earlier, just walk around where people aren't saying, well, why are you a Dolphins fan? Where it's not a question, and everyone is like, oh man, you're a Dolphins fan? Yeah, that's dope, man. Like, they're really good. Like, congratulating you. They're not looking at you like crazy because, where I'm from, the Eagles don't win a Super Bowl. I had to deal with that. But I am truly, I'm truly floored by how much love this man is getting, because most of the time we see this for players, and most times there are certain transcendent players who galvanize a bunch of people. We can just go back to Kobe and how he brought together the world, and now you see the whole Fin Nation coming together because of this one man and what he did for us years ago. And it speaks to what we've had to go through since him. But that to me only speaks to his greatness, because to follow that legacy was going to be hard and almost impossible. But now that I hear, guys are coming on here and they're talking about they see something in Coach Flo, it gives someone like me a lot of hope, because I want to be able to experience that. I want to go to Hard Rock and know that no team's going to come in there and, play smash mouth to us. We're going to come out there with a win. But that's what Shula did. You were not going into any stadium, Miami, whether you were going home game or away game. You were going to get the best 60 minutes that you could handle on both sides of on the field. Go ahead, Wade.
So quick.
It's a culture, right? So, and you kind of touched on it. So I'm 30 years old. So fans that are, around my age or even younger, they've only experienced in Miami a culture of mediocrity. 7 and 8, 8, 9 and 7, whatever it is. With Shula, I don't care if you're a player, if you're a coach, whatever you are, when you bring greatness and more importantly than that, expect greatness from others, it just sets a tone. Right. And everyone knows the accolades, right? Everyone knows the Super Bowl is the perfect season, the 347 wins. And everybody knows it. What they don't know, especially those of us that didn't really live through it, was the adversity. The times where the upstart football leagues came in and signed away all your star players, right? Or the time you had to create something like when they created the 53 defense, which was kind of a precursor to the nickel. It wasn't about the formation of players. It was about, I had this guy on my team who wears number 53, and he's kind of undersized, but he's kind of athletic, and we got to figure out how we can use him best. And that's what great coaching is, right? How do you get the most out of what you have in front of you? right? So it's not necessarily, just Miami wasn't always great because they had the best roster. They wasn't always great, when they had different assistant coaches or whatever it was. But I think it was Bum Phillips, I believe, who was a legendary coach in his own right of the Houston Oilers, who was Wade Phillips' dad, that said about Don Shula, he can take his team and beat your team, and then he can take your team and beat his team. He was just that innovative, and he paid that much attention to the game. In his, I think Vic mentioned his halftime speech. I'm sorry, Hall of Fame speech. In the Hall of Fame speech, he makes a comment about, he was only born about 50 miles from Canton, Ohio, but it took him 67 years to get there, right? And that's what greatness is. It's not something that can happen overnight. Like, regardless of what sport, you mentioned Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think it cut out on him, man. He was on a roll. He was giving us some good stuff, man.
That's a good point, because I think he was going here, and he might have been going here. I was listening to an interview with Joe Gibbs, and Joe Gibbs was played against Shula. And he said, when I was a second-year coach coming out there, and I wanted to play I had to go play against the Dolphins, and he looked across that sideline, and he saw Don Shula, and he was scared. He said, I was scared. Here I'm looking at the jaw of Don Shula looking at me, and I'm a second-year coach wanting to play the Dolphins. There was fear. And you know where that comes right to? Flores. What are these people saying about Flores and Greer right now? What are they saying about how we're picking people? What are they saying about how well we're doing? Because these folks, Flores keeps going and Greer keeps going, there's going to be fear for Miami Dolphins playing them.
Nice. I'm sorry, Wade. We had lost you there. Yeah, I think it's just a bad reception. That's all. It's bad reception on his end.
But I would go back to my Dolphins family. My dad, my grandfather watched Dolphins. My sons grew up watching the Dolphins. 3 generations, buddy, and it's going to be a 4th.
Yes.
So that's what it's about.
Man, it's just crazy hearing these stories. There's a lot of stuff that I had never heard myself. It's just interesting. What's up, JF Finn Strong? What's going on?
What's happening, man?
We all good, man. Talk to us.
Hey, it's a celebration. I know that everybody in South Florida and around the NFL is feeling very, very terrible right now. And it hit me at work when I got the news, especially when you came on earlier, man. But going back to what happened some years ago, what this man brought to the Miami Dolphins, coming from Baltimore. He had Johnny Unitas.
Mm-hmm.
He had Johnny U going against Joe Namath in that Super Bowl, and the owner of the Baltimore Colts just got onto Don Shula so bad. But you know what? He said he when he left that, he never got down. He never got down. He came down to Miami thanks to Mr. Joe Robbie. And y'all don't get it. And I might get a little emotional here, but Joe Robbie and the Robbie family brought that man down to South Florida. And when he did that, he changed the scenery. He brought the swag to Miami. He brought the swag to Miami. He had Johnny Unitas. He had Bob Greasy. He had the backups. Listen to the backups. Earl Morrow. In 1972, when Bob Greasy went down in Week 5 against the San Diego Chargers at the time, Earl Morrow came in and won the rest of the regular season. That gave us our 72. That's that 72 team. And Don Shula made one of the most outstanding decisions ever to bring Bob Greasy back and they went on to win the Super Bowl, 17-0. This man Don Shula did some things to make me brag, feel good about the Miami Dolphins. Each and every way. Each and every way. I'm not going to hold up your time, man. I appreciate it. I'm not going to hold up your time, TD.
You're all good, man. This is what we need to hear. We need to hear from those who actually felt it. They witnessed it, and I'm appreciative of this. You're not holding up our time, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's a guy that was with the Houston Oilers, the head coach, Bon Phillips. He said he was speaking to Don Shula, he can take your team and beat you with his. And he can take yours and beat with yours. He said that, and I knew we had a coach. I said, this is the kind of man that you need. And this the kind of man that you need.
Now that's swag. That's swag to the fullest. To tell you, I'll take your team and beat my team.
Yes,
wow,
sir.
and I'll take my team and beat your team.
Yes,
That's
sir.
just a whole nother level of man.
That's what he said, man. That's what he said, man.
That's crazy.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I thank you for letting me come on, TD. Phinsanity. Thank you, Vic. Thank you, Dolphin Nation. We this right here. We strong, baby.
That's it.
Fins up, baby. Love you, man.
All right.
Appreciate you coming through.
Thank you.
Man, that's crazy. I did read that earlier when he was saying something like that. I'll take my team and beat yours, and I'll take your team and beat mine. That's just a whole nother level of confidence in what you can do as a coach.
Right here. Coaching right here.
Yes, man. Put it deep in the heart, man. It's just crazy, man.
I really love that passion from that man. Like I really felt like he's really feeling this. Like, and growing, I don't know how old that young man is, but you can tell that Shula really affected him, and just being able to be a Dolphins fan back then, how proud he was. So thank you for coming on so much and giving us that.
Yes, for sure, man. Almost had me crying up, man.
Yeah.
I almost had to go pour me a cup of something, man. Oh my gosh. Man, it's just tough, man.
You know, and that's I think there's a difference between our fans today. And maybe it's because we won and we had courage from our team. We knew no matter what happened that we were going to be the best we could be all the time. And we knew that there was never a day that we weren't the best in the world. And we had proved it once. I think that's why I kept going after that. But I think the team itself, and as the fans, we all gelled together. There was none of this like we have today. Not a lot of wish-washy stuff. And I think the 20 years that we've been in failure, I think, has caused a lot of it. But I think once we start getting back into the winning ways that we can have under Flores and we can have as a team, I think a lot of that will go to the side. Just like you said this today about what happened with Don, is that, you know, it's brought people to realize that, you know, we're a team together. We're not split apart right now. We all, you know, you saw on Twitter is when I found out this morning, and it was just very little bits. I said, what happened? Don Shula died. I didn't see anything yet. So, of course, Twitter's like instant. You know, it's out there. Within 15, 20 minutes, it was everywhere. It was full everywhere. You couldn't see anything else. But so many fans, if one person said something wrong, there was like 20 or 30 Fin fans on there jumping on that person. You know, you don't disrespect people when we're having this problem. So I think, you know, yeah, it's tragic. It was, you know, something that happened, but I think it's going to help, hopefully, bring us a little bit closer and let Flores do his thing and make us even better still.
Man, and I want to take a quick break real quick, man. And I appreciate that, Vic. I wanted to talk about the accomplishments itself, because we don't speak about those very often. Phinsanity, do I have you muted? Or that's just you?
No, I had myself.
Oh, okay. I was just making sure I wasn't locking you out here. I don't think a lot of people, and I want to speak to the younger generation, those who are my age or younger, because it's a lot that we don't know. I mean, I may know a lot because I did the research, but it's a lot I still don't know. But a few things that stood out to me is this man in his entire career only had 2 losing seasons. 2 losing seasons. And to put that into perspective, do people realize how many seasons that he actually coached? 2 losing seasons, dating back to 1963 all the way to 1995.
I was going to say 33.
32 years. Let me make sure though. Let me make sure. 20. Spot on, Vic. 33. You got me. My math's off. 33 seasons in the NFL, and he only had a losing record twice. In 1976, twice. In 1976 and 1988 were the only 2 seasons Don Shula ever had a losing record. Guys, do we even realize what that means? See, here's the deal. I want to draw some lines here. I'm starting to feel like the younger generation, like my age or younger, I just give it a cutoff of, you know what, I'm going to put the cutoff around 40 years old or younger. We have it worse because at least those who are older than us were able to witness victory. They were able to witness, like what was just said by PHINSANITY when her father said, we never had to worry about going to the playoffs. And can you think about us in the last 20 years? For all of us younger Dolphin fans, in the last 20 years, we don't know what the playoffs is. And every time we think we know, we're forced to forget. We're forced to forget. It's just bad. And Don Shula, this is the power of a great coach, ladies and gentlemen. This is the power of a great coach. 33 seasons and only had a losing record twice. And I'm sitting here and counting out of 33 seasons the playoff appearances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 playoff appearances. About 60% of the seasons that he coached, he went to the playoffs. And in the last 20 years, we're talking about 10%. 10% we've gone to the playoffs. The power of a great coach. I want to keep saying that, the power of a great coach. This man coached 328 games and only lost 156. The power of a great coach. His winning percentage is 0.68. Almost 70% winning percentage. The power of a great coach, man. Man, if we could just get half of that back. I don't want to be a beggar. Just give me half of it back. What's up, Sith Lord? Talk to us, man.
How you doing, guys?
We all right, man.
What's up, Mike?
Well, I've been a Dolphin fan since I'm a little older up there. Started watching 1979. Of course, my Super Bowls, I remember our sad 2 losses to Washington and Montana, and Marino won. But the one thing I remember, sad day that we lost Shula. But at least we had him for a long time. To live to 90, that's pretty awesome. And but the one that I remember mostly about him is what an innovator and game planner he was. I mean, he just amazing. And the biggest one I can think of, and I invite everyone, I know it's on YouTube, the full game, is that 1985 Chicago versus Miami Monday night game. It's still the most watched Monday night game in history. That was Marino was the ultimate pocket passer, and of course the Chicago Bears, the Midway Monsters, I think, just had that awesome defensive line that would just come out there and just bull over all the offensive linemen, and any pocket passer was just in big trouble. And of course, the innovator Shula came up with the great game plan and rolled them out that whole game, and it completely confused Chicago. And of course, we won that game big and kept them made our 72 Dolphins happy.
Now this was 85.
85, yes, sir.
That was the year I was born. I was told about that Dolphin season quite a bit. We were the only loss in their column, and they won the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah.
They beat the New England Patriots, who beat us in the AFC Championship game. New England beat us, and I think the Bears beat the Patriots 46-10 in the Super Bowl. But we were the only team to stop them that whole season to keep them from going undefeated and winning the Super Bowl. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, in that game, like I said, it was just a great showing of the game planner and innovator that Shula was. And I like Vic said, I see a ton of Shula and Coach Flores. Just that fire, just that he's kind of no nonsense.
That jaw. He had that jaw.
Yeah. No, he's not going to put up with any prima donnas.
Whew!
So I totally, I watched 16 years of Shula coaching our team, and I totally see that in Flores. And and like every year that I was watching, when it was like Marino and Shula, we had the best coach, the best quarterback. I mean, every year I went in excited, thinking, yeah, we have a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and we did. And this year is the first time I've pretty much felt that since those years. And I just kind of want to ask Vic. I know Vic's kind of a little younger than Vic, but I'm almost 49. But I just want to know, Vic, if he kind of feels that way, about like this year seems like the first time that
I do.
That excitement is kind of there again.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Nice. And that's a good thing. That makes me feel good that you guys feel like that excitement is back, that we have the right coach and we're headed in the right direction. Man, I'm riding everything on Flores from this point on. I'm just, I just hope that I already know that he's a student of the game. I just hope that a lot of his knowledge and upbringing in football leans towards a lot of the principles that Don Shula put in place for so many coaches around the world. And I think personally, based off of his characteristics, his behaviors, and the things that he's done in camp already, it just looks like that's the direction we're headed in. That's why I keep on telling everyone that I believe something special is on the horizon. I believe something special with this team is right around the corner, exceeding expectations. I'm not talking about going to a playoffs and yay, we finally made it. I see something special coming that's going to be sustained long term, and that's the ultimate goal overall.
TD.
Yeah.
What not only a student of the game, but a student of the person. Knowing that person, think of when Shula won those early Super Bowls, a lot of those players are older than him. To be able to come in there and coach those guys up and have that personality and have that drive inside you to come out and coach those guys and win a Super Bowl, Flores the same way, student of the man. Being able to take those men, show them what he wants to do, and make that plan go so those guys can be winners.
Absolutely, man. Wade, we got you back, man. We had some reception issues. Are you good?
I'm good to go, man. That was on me. I'm settled in the house now, Wi-Fi up, ready to go.
Awesome. Let everybody see it. I see it, man. I love that. I love that. What would Shula do?
What Shula do?
Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you the story behind this. So we were drunk one night, maybe a year or two ago. Me and my main man Solo D from Miami Sports Music, and it's just something that kind of slipped out, man. Yeah, shout out Solo. It's just something that kind of slipped out, man. It's something we said, a few times since then, and last year going to these games, for those of y'all that don't know me, so I'm from the East Coast originally. I'm from Philly, but I live in Colorado now. So I fly down for every game. And let me tell you, man, it was brutal last year. Like, there was a lot of games that I'm on that airplane, like, why the hell am I doing this? And I think it kind of culminated. I think it kind of culminated during that Redskins game. So, we're in the deep end, right behind the end zone, and the decision comes out to go for 2. Now, I said many times, I supported that decision. 100% supported that decision. What I did not support was the play call to throw a bubble screen to Kenyon Drake. I think that's the worst possible play. I don't know who the hell called that one. Hopefully it was the same guy that, ended up calling that Mountaineer shot against the Eagles, throwing it punting the kicker in the end zone there. But so after that game, man, I was hurt. It was one of the worst times to be a Dolphins fan. We just lost to the Redskins, who hadn't even won a freaking game yet. And I held the flag for that game, man. I held the flag down on the field for the anthem. My baby sister was her first Dolphins game, and all I could think was, man, this is how she's starting her experience.
Nice, man.
So we sat around and we kicked it out, and something I always said. I came home, I drew up the logo, and eventually we got it on some shirts. It had nothing to do, with obviously the unfortunate circumstances going on today. But I can't tell you how many positive messages we got on the site where we sell them. Just, hey, man, like, my shirt came the other day and this happened today. It's now my new favorite shirt. I'm so happy to see it. So we're definitely going to do some type of a memorial thing. But just to kind of jump on what was just getting kicked around right there, talking about something special happened. I think something special is already happening. And what I mean by that is, look at the product we put on the field last year. We shut down a lot of players early. We traded a lot of players like, your Minkas or your Kenyon Drake, who didn't want to do the extension, right? We got rid of the people that didn't want to be on the team. And that's nothing, against those players, right? But some of the moves we made, like I just look at Jordan Howard, right? And I remember the Eagles getting Jordan Howard for that 6th-round pick last year. And I was furious. With our running back situation, the fact that we couldn't pull that off for a 6th-round pick, I was furious. Howard is – he's 26 years old. Since he's been in the league, he's the 3rd leading rusher, and that's including spending a year in the Eagles system that he didn't fit. He doesn't fit that zone blocking scheme. He's a power between the tackles guy. So just like that move alone, right, I love so much. And we got him cheap. We got him on that baby deal, that 2 years, $5 million a year. But looking at how we handled free agency, looking at how we handled the draft specifically. And even though we didn't get Cesar Ruiz, who I would have loved to have, but the moves that we made were not only moves that brought in good players, but they were good players that fit what we're trying to do. Like, it's clear we're going to emulate that defensive system that's been running New England forever, right? With these cover man corners, these cover safeties. That's where you get your Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain, who neither one of them are really a thumper, right? Neither one of them really can play in the box and create an impact. But the front 7 is not designed to rush from the edge. It's designed to collapse the pocket from the middle. It's what you've seen in New England time and time again. And regardless of what you want to say about, the cheating that we know they're doing up there and all that stuff, the reason they've been so successful time and time again is that they've stuck with a very simple system, and they found players that fit it. Like, other than Randy Moss, they haven't had a superstar receiver, right? They haven't had a superstar running back, but they've always had a solid offense. Not the best, but a solid one, right? The one place they spent money was to go out and get the best man cover corners. Now, who does that sound like? Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, right? They've drafted well, especially on the interior, on the offense and defensive line. Who does that sound like? That sounds like Christian Wilkins. That sounds like Austin Jackson. That sounds like some of the talent we went out and got in free agency, and Shaq Lawson and those guys. I think the next move is probably going to be to hopefully extend Raekwon McMillan and Jerome Baker, but we'll see how that goes. That's another time. But you can see them building the pieces of what's worked. And that's why you see, for everyone jumping on Brady, and I want to make a comment about that in a second, but for everyone that jumps on Brady all these years, you look at their winning percentage when he hasn't been in the lineup, when Matt Castle was in for those 15 games, when Brady was suspended for those 4 games. It's almost identical. In fact, I got to run the numbers again. The last time I ran it, it might actually be a better winning percentage without him in the lineup, but it's very close, right? But when you talk about, and this is kind of what I was getting to earlier before I got cut off, when you're talking about greatness from a coaching perspective, time and time again, quarterbacks get labeled as oh, they have this many wins, right? And a wins versus losses thing. And that's not really fair to say about any one player on a 53-man football team. But who that is fair to judge is the coach, right? And one of the things people forget is not only does Shula have those 347 wins, he was also doing it at a time where they played less games in a season than they do now.
Yep.
Right. And once you remove, like, Belichick is obviously getting there. I think he's third all time on the list right now. But from there, you got to go all the way to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's Andy Reid for the next active coach on a winning streak.
Not even close.
Right. And look how big the gap is. And Andy coached for a long time. I mean, just to put in perspective how long Andy coached, they gave Donovan McNabb a 12-year contract. Right. Like, so not only is that ridiculous, but think of like that would never happen in this day and age. I mean, you got people signing 3-year deals now. Like, people want those shorter deals because they know the market's going to reset. So if you look at just how, like, what it took to be great all those years, and I know Sith Lord over here made the comment about Dan Marino and having the greatest quarterback, and we can argue all day about quarterbacks in the era with it. I don't think there's any argument that at the time he played, Marino was considered the greatest to throw the ball. But think about this, like, Marino was not the first, second, third, or even fourth quarterback and taken in that draft. Marino didn't even start from day one as a rookie. I'm not questioning Marino's greatness, but like every other player that's been great, well, how did he get there? He got there because he had Shula. I mean, the Marx brothers were good receivers, but were they elite top 5 guys in the league without Marino? Who was the best player on that team besides Marino? Larry Little? Like, Marino never had no Hall of Fame running back. Marino rarely had a Pro Bowl running back.
It was a team.
They went from, that team under in the 70s, right? Under Uramoro when Bob Greasy got hurt, Bob Greasy when he was there. They had that great running game, right? And Shula, a couple years later, transitioned into a great passing game. Between those quarterbacks, between Marino and those guys, they had Damian Woodley and Don Stroud. And Shula would literally pull one out of the game and put the other one in right in the middle of the game. Something that's unheard of in today's football, right? It wasn't, oh, I had this great player so I can continue to lean on him and just build a system that works it. It was, hey, this is what we got to do to win. When I have talent, I'm going to foster that talent and make these guys better than they are. And, of course, I'm going to try to go out and get great talent. But, I mean, honestly, historically, that's probably the one thing that hurt the team the most is, especially on the offensive side of the ball, they weren't necessarily the best at going out and acquiring talent like some of these other teams were. Like, could you imagine if we had, like, Flores came into the league as a scout, right? He's talked openly about, I initially envisioned myself as being a GM someday. Could you imagine if we had that type of Chris Greer, Flores style of scouting going on along with what Shula did as a coach? I mean, there'd have been, like, the rest of the league would have quit. There wouldn't have been an AFC. It would have been the Dolphins versus the NFC.
Hey, Marino might still be playing.
Hey, if we could block for him, you might be right.
But
look, today. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
It's interesting in today's day and age. How the medical science has changed. What could have been, right? Like, you look at, like, it used to be a guy tears his ACL and that's the end of his career. Now we got guys like, I think Thomas Davis is on like his 4th ACL tear in the same knee, right? Like we're at a point now where unless it's like a spine or a head injury, pretty much everything is fixable. You guys can get back on the field the next year. So like, think about like what could have been with some of these guys. Even you don't even got to go that far back to Shula. You can go back to guys like Ricky Williams, who was worried about getting hit all them times. You know what I mean? Think of how different stuff could have been. But, I mean, that's a whole nother thing. And my ultimate what if, especially when it comes to the coaches, what would have happened had all those players not left the NFL to go get those paydays after that 73 season?
Right.
Right? You lost, I mean, and I'm probably missing a couple, right? But you lost Zonka. You lost, I believe, Jim Kick. I think you lost Paul Warfield, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the list in front of me. It's been a while. But you lost so many of these great players that people forget. Not only was that 72 team the only undefeated team, they were also the only NFL team ever to lead the league in all 4 major statistical categories, in total offense, in scoring offense, in total defense, and scoring defense. No one's done that since, right? So, like, imagine what could have been had that not happened.
It's interesting, a lot of the things that you bring up, and I like to say first and foremost, facts over feelings, like somebody just put in the comment section. We just heard a lot of facts over feelings. And the reason why I'm highlighting that, because I constantly, I'm glad that you said it, because you articulated it so well, that in today's age, we put so much emphasis on quarterback, when a lot of times these quarterbacks, depending on the coach they have, the coach, what a lot of these great coaches are doing, they're making life so easy for the quarterback, that we overlook the value of the great coach, and we push all the credit to the quarterback. And I think a lot of that is attributed to the media selling the quarterback.
Yeah, they want to sell jerseys. They want to sell jerseys, man. I mean, look, Bill Walsh had the famous quote. You know, they asked him, what's the difference between Joe Montana and Dan Marino? He said, Joe Montana runs our system. Dan Marino is their system. Right? And that's not to diminish Shula, nothing. It's just, I mean, look, these guys want to sell jerseys. That's why, I mean, the NFL wants big plays and touchdowns and highlight reels. And that's why you have all these rules. Oh, protect the quarterback. That's why there's so much hype around a guy like Tua, and not to knock him. We need him. I'm happy he's here. Right? But you look at a guy like Chase Young, who's easily the best player in his draft, and he gets half the coverage that someone like Tua or Burrow gets.
It's crazy. And that's just funny. I need to repeat what you said, okay? One quarterback runs our system. The other is our system. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this loud and proud. You need a quarterback that runs your system, not one who is the system. Because if you have a quarterback who is the system, it's less for the defense to neutralize. 100%. They just have to neutralize the one person who's the system.
So I believe it was Shula who said it, right? Winning in football takes luck, and not having a good quarterback is bad luck.
Not having a good quarterback is bad luck. And there you go, Mike. So you love to have good luck and have a good quarterback. But hey, I want to ask you, Wade, do you think you need an elite quarterback or an above average quarterback?
I don't even think you need an above average quarterback. And I think and what I mean by that, right, is obviously you always want to get the best player you can. But you have 53 players on your team. I don't care who you are. If you're going to try to argue with me that if you got 52 really good players, you got a good coach, and you got one guy who ain't all that special, your team is garbage. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear. I mean, you look at how many, like Garoppolo was not all that great this year, right? They're in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Everyone uses the Trent Dilfer excuse. People forget that when Trent Dilfer was in that Super Bowl, he was playing against Kerry Collins, who also wasn't all that special, right? I mean, you can put a good team on a fit. Look at our 11-5 year, right? Under Sperano and Bill Parcells. We didn't have elite quarterback play, right? And people forget on that year, we turned over 44 players on our 53-man roster, right? Which is, I mean, extremely similar to what Flores did last year. You look at it right now, I love Tua. I'm happy we made the pick. Right now, Tua has not thrown a single pass in the NFL. As of now, he is not a great NFL quarterback. Do I think we can win this year? Absolutely. The schedule's tough, but we can go deep. And you can use countless examples. The thing is now, in today's NFL, it's going to be harder and harder to do so. And the reason for that is because of all the things we just talked about, all the rules protecting the quarterback, all the medical science and all that stuff that's going on now. Quarterbacks are playing longer and longer and longer, and they're going to play longer and longer than they did before. So it's going to be a lot harder to not have a great quarterback because the guys that are great are going to last a long time, and the guys that are not great are going to get washed out quickly by the next round of people to come out. I mean, you look at Cam Newton, former number 1 overall pick, don't have a job. Jameis Winston was a number 1 overall pick, just got a backup job. Andrew Luck was a number 1 overall pick, ain't even in the league no more. Right? So it's going to be harder and harder to not have a great quarterback just out of like a numbers game. But I think you're going to find that more and more it's going to be about who can coach creatively, who can find players that are specialized that fit their scheme, right? Meaning you might have a team like the Eagles, right, that just went out and got 2 speed guys to go with a team that they already have Deshaun Jackson. Now they're facing some cap issues. Jackson might not be there next year. But most people weren't expecting them to pass up Justin Jefferson to draft Jalen Reagor. But Doug Peterson has shown time and time again that he's trying to get that elite speed guy on his team when he brought back Deshaun Jackson, when he signed Torrey Smith. So he wants guys that fit his scheme, not necessarily guys that are the best overall player. Like, this ain't Madden. right? Your ratings don't really matter. You got to be able to do what the team needs you to do, because at the end of the day, it's basketball. Yes, the most talented person can go out and dominate no matter what's going on. Football, you could have the most talented people in the world. If they don't fit what you're trying to do, it's just not going to work.
Doesn't matter. And that's why a lot of people always wonder why when we let players go, all of a sudden they're good on another team. No, they're good in another system. They're good. They're a good fit in what the other team is trying to accomplish. It's a team sport, and the coach has to deliver what he's trying to get across. And if he gets the right guys to fit that mold, it will work. And that's the ultimate. Well, I mean, you still have to have some level of talent, but it will work. You just have to put it all together. I've been preaching on the show for quite some time that the coach is the important piece of it. And I'm no longer a fan of players. Of course, I root for my players, but I'm not falling deep in love with any specific player anymore, because when you're running a scheme and you're trying to manage money and everything, that player could be gone tomorrow and bring in another one that fits the bill with those attributes. May not be as big of a name, but he fits the mold in the scheme fit that we're trying to get across. A lot of people didn't like the draft picks that we selected. And these guys were prototypical for what Flores is trying to run here in Miami. And they were prototypical of what a New England, every guy that we drafted is prototypical of almost what New England would draft as well, based off of that type of scheme.
TD, I don't know who didn't like our draft picks, but they gotta go.
It's plenty.
Like I love most of our draft picks, and to jump on your point real quick, I'll look back to the Cleveland Browns a couple years ago, right, when Mayfield was a rookie, and they fired I can't think of his name, not Greg Williams, Hugh Jackson. They fired Hugh Jackson. Greg Williams took over as the interim coach, and all of a sudden Cleveland had a good team, right? Well, yeah, Mayfield played all right, but what people are forgetting is that defense, when Greg Williams stepped up and took over the team, was vicious. They were beating up everybody. In fact, I forget who the player was. Hugh Jackson actually left and became an assistant for the Bengals. The player intercepted the ball, ran it over to the sidelines, and gave it to Hugh Jackson. Like, that defense was vicious. And then what happened? They said, we want to build around Baker Mayfield. They let Greg Williams walk, which was the biggest mistake they made in a long time. And they brought in Freddie Kitchens to run the offense. What happened? The defense took a massive step back. They were a bottom feeder team again. And after one season, Freddie Kitchens is already out.
Gone. That simple, man. I want to bring one more. I want to bring someone else in as well to join our conversation, guys. I think people are really enjoying the conversation we're having. What's going on, Dwayne? Oh, we can't hear you, Dwayne.
We got a quick question while we're waiting, guys.
Yeah.
Talking about, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Talk about coaches and those guys that knew Shula. You know, Shula started out defensive like Flores is doing. And I think Shula turned more into offense with Marino. So knowing how Shula was and knowing how Flores is, how does Flores stay defensive minded to keep building our trenches, keeping the lines going, but still take someone like Tua, who is an offensive weapon that we want to use him for, but to keep that where that doesn't hurt our long-term chances, to make sure that the trenches as a defense are still killer bees, whatever you want to call it, all those defenses we had that had the nicknames. But what do you do to make sure you're tempered as a double-edged sword so that you don't fall to the wayside as we have the last 20 years?
I think you're already doing it. I think that you live on defense, right, which is clearly what they want to do, right? The Byron Jones signing, Shaq, Lawson, all these guys. You live on defense, and you grow on offense. You don't throw Tua into the fire, right? You go out, you spend those picks on good offensive linemen, like Austin Jackson at 18, right? A lot of people thought Austin Jackson would still be there at 26, but they decided Austin was their guy. He's the guy they want to protect Tua. They went and got him. Jordan Howard, again, a steal, right? Even the Matt Breida thing. I'm not as big on Matt Breida, but he's going to provide something our backfield doesn't have right now because there's not a lot of depth. But you went out the year before, or well, not the year before, but you bring in, you drafted Gesicki, who did nothing his first year, right? But you keep him on the team because you know how valuable he's going to be to a young quarterback. Parker stepped up. You gave him that 4-year deal. All the receivers that played hard this year, you extended their contracts. Jakeem Grant, Alan Hearns, crafty veteran, right? I don't know why Albert Wilson's still here. That's another thing. But even going out and getting Preston Williams, undrafted last year, you're putting Tua in a position to win because you're building a team around him that he doesn't need to be great. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, even with that horrendous offensive line and no running game last year, we had 15th ranked pass offense. That's only going to get better with a better offensive line and a run game. Tua's going to be in a position with that defense, that run game, and those players catching the ball where he doesn't have to put the team on his back to win games.
Right.
And that's important for a young quarterback. And I don't care how great he was in college. This is a different thing. It's going to take him time to adjust. And you work him in. You don't throw him to the fire day one. And obviously, it's going to depend what the schedule and the bye weeks and all that stuff looks like. But there's a chance he doesn't start till late in the season this year. I mean, Chan Gailey is a coordinator that is known for being able to pound the ball and win with the run game. And that's exactly what a young quarterback needs. And I think Jordan Howard is a guy that, as long as you keep him between the tackles, he can handle 25 carries a game. And he'll be glad to do so under that contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays well enough that we extend him before the 2 years up. But you do that as
Who is that?
Jordan Howard.
Okay.
But that's how you do it. You give him the old Philly expression where I'm from is roots and wings, right? You give him the wings to go do what he needs to do and grow himself. But
I'm
you give
hoping
him the
that's
roots
Chan Gailey's way is that he does do.
I think Vic just froze on us. Let's say that again, Vic, because you have froze on us.
Hey, Pops. Chan Gailey, if he is that run it down your throat offense coordinator and he can keep pushing that ball, I think that's where Tua's game is going to step up even better than college. I think if we can have that run, shove it down your throat and just make the passing game, flower around that front line game. I think that's really where he's going to be protected and be able to do anything we need him to do without having to worry about getting hurt.
Can I? Okay, hold on. Let me add real quick. It's simple because Vic said, "How does he not, lose his defensive mindset?"
Right.
He came up with Bill Belichick, and the first thing Bill tried to do in this draft was revamp his freaking defense because he knows that's where you win games. He's already grown up in that system. He understands that we're going to plug in guys on offense where we need them, but as long as my defense. Flores, we can just go back to the year before he came, to us, and that Super Bowl. I literally sat there because people said it was the most boring Super Bowl ever, but I'm sitting there and I'm looking to the TV because I know that's my future coach, and I want to see, who this guy really is. You held the number one offense to 3 points in the biggest game of their life. He already knows how to win these games, how to win Super Bowls, and how to instill that tough culture. It's with your defense. You have to let teams know that you're not going to score. And need be, if we have to beat you 7-0, that's still a win. If it's 3-0, it's still a win. Because he comes from that mindset. If you don't score, then we're going to win this game. Because all we have to do is score once. He was bred in it. He was brought up in it. He was raised in it. That's what he knows. Defense. He's not going to get into, he's not, going to get pulled and drawn into the media world. You can already see how he interacts with them when they ask him certain questions, especially about the offense and about the quarterback situation last year. He wanted nothing to do with it. He just he literally got tired and fed up of being asked, "Oh, who's going to be the quarterback this week? Well, what are you guys doing with Rosen and all that stuff?" To him, he knows it is and will always be about his defense. Because why? The second greatest coach of all time told him that. And if you go back to us and our winning culture, killer bees, no name defense. Right there, that should be our culture and our mindset getting back to true Miami Dolphins football. And that's why the first thing when I came into this platform that I preached was running game and a defense. And if you have both of those, you can be one of the most dominant teams. Just like Wade was saying earlier about San Francisco. They went through Mostert, he balled out. Breida was balling out, and people forget Kevin Coleman was still balling out. They had 3 running backs before you, I think you had George Kittle, you brought in Emmanuel Sanders, and you had Marquise Goodwin. But your offense,
and Deebo Samuel,
and your offense was still centered around a run game and that defense. So we don't have to worry about all of that. Flores gets it. Real great coaches get that, and that's why I truly believe the way that we have set up our defense, bringing in guys who know this system. Why did you do this? Bringing in guys who know this system and bringing in guys who can, from week one, as we have someone in every single unit that has worked with Flores before. So going into training camp, I expect the defense to shine more than the offense, but that's because Flores has his guys in there. And what his guys are there to do is to teach our guys and the next guys that come in, because you have to be able, no matter who comes and who goes, the next person has to be able to know their assignment and what to do on that defense. As long as that defense is there, we will be one of the most dominant teams, in the NFL, easily. I've seen Patrick Mahomes be taken out for a half because of defense, because of defensive play. Now, you got to keep it up. You still have to keep doing the things, and you have to be able to adjust. But to me, that just answers your question, Vic. I feel like since that's what he brought up in and came up in, mindset shouldn't get too distracted from that. And as long as he controls the media, and because the media tries to puff players up and make a quarterback bigger than what they need to be, like that, So as long as he can control that the way he does still, I'm with it. Think about it. Who's the face of the Dolphins? Brian Flores. And I can argue.
Let me throw a follow-up
all day right now.
Right. Follow up with that. Sith Lord, thinking about Don Shula, going back to the 80s, late 80s, 90s. Was he more offensive minded or defensive minded, you think?
I agree with you. I said he started out defensive minded, and then he slowly, definitely, the later years you remember him as more of the offensive minded coach.
Right. And that's what I don't want to happen with Flores. I need to make sure that he stays true to his course, because that's what's going to make us great. And you have whoever the offense coordinator is, let them take care of that side of the ball. If he can stay on that course, if I know what Flores, the way he acts right now, I think we've got it made.
I think.
Go ahead, TD.
No, you're good, Sith Lord. I'll go after you.
That's one reason I was really excited to get Chan Gailey in there. He's a true offensive coordinator. So that's going to allow Brian to just stay 100% on defense. You saw last year all the kind of crazy stuff they were doing. I love those plays when they had all the defensive linemen, like 8 of them on the line, all standing.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see more of that stuff. So having Chan Gailey, I think, is going to help let him stay focused on the defense.
Now, encompassing everything that you all been saying, what Wade said, Phinsanity, yourself, Vic, and Sith Lord, history shows us. History is showing us that it starts with defense. History should be able, and I think a lot of people get confused in that nature when they see a few anomalies here and there, like the Kansas City Chiefs.
Were the Kansas City Chiefs that bad on defense, though? Chris Jones was my number one free agent.
Yeah, it wasn't the side of the ball that dominated the game plan, in other words.
It wasn't the flashy side. But it never is, right?
However, they did add defensive pieces because they knew that they didn't need that. They added Tyrann Mathieu. They went out and got Frank Clark. Come on.
Yes. I guess what I'm saying here is when you stack the team up, when I look at historically, to me, like you said, the defense usually isn't the sexy part that people even notice are doing a good job. But a lot of these teams that were great, they had a basis of their defense in some cases were better than the offense. Those anomalies, the Baltimore Ravens, even though Flacco had one of his best years ever. Those type of teams, they were built over time based off of the defense, and the offense end up catching up. The offense end up becoming just as explosive.
Yeah, it goes back to the days of Will Chamberlain, man, talking about the 3 things you need to win are defense, defense, and defense, right? And Flacco had a pretty good playoff run, and then he crashed the U.S. dollar by signing that ridiculous contract that made no sense. But I look at it like this. I think of the Saints when they won the Super Bowl against the was it the
Okay.
Colts that year, right? Like their defense wasn't even that spectacular, but they had a lot of turnovers. And there's a lot of times you can even look at the Patriots historically where they haven't had necessarily the top end defense in terms of yardage, right? But when it got to the red zone, their scoring defense was really good. I think there was a stat last year, and I forget what week it was, but it was into the season. It might have been week 7 or 8, where they said if the Patriots offense had never taken the field, their record would have still been like 5-2-1 or something like that. Like just because their defense literally scored that many points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, your defense doesn't even need to score points. They don't even need to necessarily get a ton of turnovers. Obviously, that's great, right, when you can get them. But what they need to be able to do is keep you in the game. They need to not put the game on the offense's shoulders. They need to not let the offense go out there, have this long drive, and then 3 plays later be right back on the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
You win by stopping the run, and you win really by controlling the clock. And the 2 ways you control the clock are you stop the run and you can run the ball yourself. And when I look at I'm still forward thinking of Tua, talking about this defense versus offense thing, right? Because I really think what happened with Shula, Vic, to your point, was that he maybe eased off a little bit because he could rely so much on Marino's talent. And the question at the end of the day is, how do we not do that? To me, when I look at Tua, I see a very similar player to Russell Wilson. And what I mean by that is he can do a lot of things very well, but he's still got to work on some things. And if you think about Russell Wilson, I mean, I watched Russell Wilson the year before he came out pick apart Nebraska when he was playing at Wisconsin. And when he got drafted in the 3rd round, as someone that's not big in college football, I couldn't understand it. Because I remember that game, him just being surgical, right? But even early on in his career as a Seahawk, it was about Marshawn Lynch. It was about the Legion of Boom, right? It was about that front 7 who, I mean, they ran 4-3, we ran 3-4, but very similar to ours. There weren't necessarily a ton of stars in the front 7, right? They were all the coverage guys in the secondary were the stars then. And Russell slowly developed into one of, if not the best quarterback in the game, right? And when I look at Tua's ability to do so, he's in a very similar situation in terms of defense. He's in what I believe can be a very similar situation with the run game. And when I evaluate a quarterback, to me, I think that there's 2 things that I think you truly need to be a quarterback. And I think they're your 2 most important things. And I think it's your accuracy and your decision-making. This kid, 2 years in a row at Alabama, threw 36 touchdowns before he threw his first interception. And people joke about Alex Smith being the #1 pick all those years, right? Alex Smith would never lose you a game. He might not be able to win you the game if you hang it solely on the shoulders, but he'd never lose you the game. If Tua can just not lose us the game these first couple of years, right, while we continue to build the talent on the O-line, while we continue to build this killer defense, which we may not even really have to build much more, right? We may just have to kind of coach them in a position, which granted is going to be tough this year with the COVID and the limited, whatever is going to be with OTAs and all that stuff. I mean, this kid can be great. We got to keep him on his feet. We got to keep him upright. And we got to not tell him, hey, everything's on your shoulders, like we've done with so many quarterbacks that we've drafted before, including guys like Tannehill or Chad Henne or I mean, really any of these guys post Marino, to be honest with you. We've sent so many people out into the fire and said, hey, figure it out. And then we wonder why we're not successful. Like, you don't do that. You build the team first, which I think we've done, and then you add the quarterback. But the expectation shouldn't be on his shoulders that, hey, this is your team. It all relies on you day one. And I don't think it's going to be. I think Flores is going to do everything he can to let every single person on his team know you're not a star. You're a part of a team. That's the Patriot way, right? I swear to God, if the NFL would let them, they would take the names off the back of their jerseys up there. Like, you're a Dolphin. You're not Tua or Devontae Parker or Mike Gesicki or whoever the hell. You're a Dolphin, first and foremost.
Yep, and that's all you need is a quarterback that's not going to lose you games, not be the reason you lose. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be great, but just don't be the reason you lose games. What's going on, Dwayne?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine now, man.
Okay, fantastic. I apologize for the technical difficulties.
You're good.
Today we lost the general, and for 33 years, that man guided this team. He took not one, not two, not 3, but 4 great quarterbacks with all different styles, and
Can y'all
successfully
hear?
won with them. So that's just a monument to his greatness. And you look at those clips of the highlights of the 70, 71, 72 seasons, like the gentleman with Sith Lord. I was a fan from 1971. So I went through that first year of that Super Bowl loss. But to see the video of Shula running gassers with the team after practice, that's leadership. I mean, he's setting the tone. And when you have a leader such as that, you can't help but have winning seasons. As y'all pointed out earlier, out of 33 years, 2 losing seasons. That's because he set the tone and he set the example for success. And he's going to be missed. Sometime in the season, I'm sure the Dolphins are going to give a tribute to him. But we all can give a tribute to Coach Shula by making sure that those times that we have success, think about it, because he laid the foundation a long time ago and set the expectations a long time ago for people like Vic who know what it's like to have winning seasons. That's because of the greatness of Shula. So for persons like TD and Phinsanity who haven't seen that or felt that total success, it's coming. It's coming. Flores is going to bring it. Flores is going to bring it. But when you go through that success, that years of success where you're disappointed that you made the AFC Championship game and lost to the Patriots when you knew you were a better team than both the Patriots and the Bears, that's when you know that you've hit that plateau where you're expecting good things, great things every season. I've been to Miami for a few games. I had season tickets for 1 year. Traveled from Ohio to Miami every other Sunday. I have pictures of those statues. I made sure I got a picture of Shula's statue. When I went to Canton to the Hall of Fame, I made sure I have pictures of Shula, just because of the success, the level of success that he had, that was an expectation or a standard that most Miami coaches have struggled to reach, but I think that we have one now that can come very close, if not superseded.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
Dwayne, the draft's in Cleveland next year, man. Can I crash on the couch?
You know what? If I was gonna be in Ohio, I would allow it. But because I'm not gonna be in Ohio this time next year, I have to say that you have to get alternative accommodations.
We'll find an Airbnb or something, man.
Yeah.
I think Dwayne made a great point, and I want to say thanks, Dwayne, because that's really, to think of the foundation that Shula and those teams built, to have one coach for that long coaching the Miami Dolphins. No other team has that. No other team can say that. We have a foundation that will never go away. It's never going anywhere. So we're waiting, and it's getting the right coach, getting the right team around it. So we have a prestigious lineage. Even though we're not the oldest NFL team, we're probably the most liked NFL team. when was going back in the 80s and late 70s, 80s, everybody wanted to be a Miami Dolphin fan.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it was. We were one of the best teams to be a fan of. 20 years later, we look where we are. But it's coming again. It's building. This guy that we got now has that. I would call it power under control. I taught my sons, you don't have to shout. You don't have to scream. You don't have to be emotional. But you know what? Only you can make yourself upset. So have power under control and let it lead you. And if you do that, you got it made. And that's what you look at Flores and you look at Shula. What do you see? Power under control.
Hey, you know what? You look at the players that he coached, okay, and not just the quarterbacks, but you look at the result of those players and what they've gone on to become as far as citizens. That's leadership as well. I mean, even the example of Eugene Mercury Morris, he has, from that one mistake, he has done a lot of great things with the rest of his life. You look at Paul Warfield, broadcaster, statesman, Hall of Famer. You look at Nick Bonacani, setting up all those foundations, not alone the career, but afterwards the foundations for his son. You look at Dick Anderson, a lawyer. Okay, you look at all of those positive men.
Kim Camper,
Joe Rose. All of these guys that have gone on to be maybe not model citizens, but upstanding citizens. Okay, so you think about that, plus the wins, plus the fact that he never deflated a ball, he never brought a snowplow out to clear the field. In fact, he was on the rules committee for decades and established standards and rules which he caused his team to meet by being one of the least penalized teams for a decade.
20 years he was on the team. 20 years.
Okay, so
that's crazy.
You think about that standard that he set, plus the fact that you had not one, not two, but 3 Hall of Fame QBs. And let me see. You also have a tight end in John Mackey that he coached. You also have 3 offensive linemen for the Miami Dolphins that he coached that are in the Hall of Fame. Stevenson, Little, Kuchenberg. I mean, all of these great players that flowed from that standard, from that fountain. It's a wonderful testament, and it's something that Flores, I'm sure, is looking at and saying, well, I got a standard.
Dwayne, I want something that Vic said has been kind of emulating in my head, right? You talking about people liking the Dolphins, right? And something that people nowadays don't really can't really wrap their head around is, in Shula's heyday, there was no cable, there was no internet, there was no let me hop on my phone and look at the stats, right? But what he did was so big, it caused this thing where, I mean, to this day, there are probably 5, 6, maybe 7 teams, maybe the Patriots now, right? Because of the last, 20 years. But you can go to any part of the country and you can walk into a sporting goods store and they're going to sell their local team stuff and they're going to sell the Steelers, Raiders, Cowboys, Niners, and Dolphins, right? Because these teams were great for so long.
Yep.
And these things happened, again, before there was internet, before there was – when I was coming up as a kid, you couldn't just turn on a Dolphins game if you live in South Florida.
Something. You know what was the biggest key to my fandom, the biggest conduit for me being a Dolphin fan was Monday Night Football. Because Monday Night Football,
Bears game in '85?
No. This is in the 70s. In the 70s, you watched the highlights, and that was the only way you got to see highlights of your team, other than the outside, other than the market that you lived in. And I lived in New York City, so all I saw was the and the Giants. So to actually be able to see highlights with Howard Cosell of the Dolphins, that was a big deal to see that on TV. And you only got to see that for a 12-minute, 10-minute span. And then all you had was the newspapers. And I know young people nowadays, they may not even know what a newspaper is.
Most of them out of business, man.
But newspapers and sports writers, that was your conduit to getting to know the players, getting to know the coach. So again, those relationships, and I just read a story today where all the reporters would wait on Shula to run his laps. He would run for 30 minutes, and then he'd have his daily news conference. Again, setting the tone, setting the example, and then holding court in a manner that bred a good relationship with the press.
Well, think of how hard it must have been, even to be a coach back then. Like whoever you consider great right now, Belichick or Sean Payton, Andy Reid, or any of these dudes. Like, look at all the resources they have at their disposal that Shula didn't have when he was doing these things. There was no microphone in a quarterback's headset for me to talk to you about. There was no all right, let me have 10 people watching every clip of YouTube for on the other team's entire season. Or let me watch footage on this guy for 19 years or whatever it was coming into the game. You legit had to have somebody out there get a tape of the game, get it to the facility, spend hours watching it, rewinding on your VCR or whatever it was. Like, imagine how hard it must have been to be a defensive-minded coach and be great back then, right? Because offense would have obviously had the advantage. And then think about, how hard it would have been to continue that greatness whenever anybody innovated something. Like, when Bill Walsh innovated, the West Coast offense, you couldn't just hop on the internet and download the ESPN clip from last night and watch the movie time and time again. You had to hope that one guy had a good camera somewhere to record the game, and you could watch them couple clips of Jerry Rice, in the field when he's starting to get off the line. Think about how much work had to go in to just creating a game plan and studying your opponent and doing all these things. And now you have to teach your guys on a week's notice, when travel and all that stuff wasn't as smooth as it is now and all these other things, to execute your game plan. Well, think of how much dedication and focus and respect you would have needed from your players to make that happen.
A lot, but you also, you had 8mm film, so you were carrying reels or cans of film back then.
That was the workout for the O-linemen, man. They had to lug the film.
And that's how that was your version of ESPN Internet. And you actually sent scouts to NFL games, to scout the game that was being watched so that you could report back. But as far as the control of the players and getting the time, it's a total different era. And I'm sure Vic and Sith Lord, you can speak to this of what you've heard in the past, where players had jobs during the off season, sold cars,
100%.
sold insurance. So
they wasn't making money back then.
There wasn't a nutrition or weightlifting or fitness program year round. These guys were working other second jobs, normal jobs like everybody else in the world, and then come June, July, they come to camp and get ready.
There was to jump on that, Dwayne. I just for a frame of reference for anybody that's out there watching, my favorite car is a 1979 Trans Am, and I remember reading one of them brand new would be around $5,000, and then I remember reading around that time frame, a good NFL player might make about 10,000. Imagine telling a quarterback today that your salary is going to be about double the cost of a Mustang. That's about 60 grand.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah,
right?
It's crazy.
These guys were, I mean, in a lot of cases, giving up most of their lives to do this, right? Like, there was no, oh, let me just fucking catch the red eye flight. You had to go on the plane to happen to be going there. You had to get whatever it was, relocate your family. Imagine getting traded back there. You lived in San Francisco, now you're going to Miami. You better pack up the car and keep it moving, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's throw this in the mix when you're done. When you throw this in the mix, that's what Shula, as a coach, compared to today's coaches, what he dealt with on a daily basis with 50 100%. Whatever players. You imagine all the turmoil 100%. And what happened if someone missed a flight. You know, this is not like today. He coached in a time that wasn't like today. It was totally backwards compared to today.
Oh,
and that's where I'm going, man. Like, imagine how much these guys had to love and respect him to do what they continued to do year in and year out under those circumstances versus today where the NFLPA literally says we're practicing too much. We need to renegotiate.
Right. Yes.
2 days? You can't do 2 days? Come on.
Or you only get like 6 days, or you only get like 6 days a season that you can actually pad up. But guys, listen, we're coming up on a 9 o'clock hour, and I do have another engagement, another stream to be on in regards to Don Shula. So if you want to check that out, go on over to Inside the NFL. If you all want to check that out. But this conversation, man,
I thought I lost you for a second.
No, I'm here. I must say, man, this was one of the better conversations that we were able to have on TD Fans Talk, and it was a majority of it was surrounded around Shula and kind of transitioned into what it could mean for today's Miami Dolphin team. I want to thank Phinsanity 5 as always, giving us a great show here on Phinsanity Mondays. I also want to thank Vic, who always shows up, shows out, and shows love. Sith Lord was in the house today. And Wade, man, we appreciate all the insight. It's actually a huge pleasure having you on finally. And I'm gonna get with you later through Phinsanity because I want to. First of all, I want to know where I can get that shirt, and second off, it's a lot of people that probably want it, so I want to make sure they know about it here on the show. All right.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, listen, I'll jump on anytime. Get with me after this, and we'll work something out. We'll do this more regularly. And just the short answer for everyone out there looking, you can just go to What Would Shula Do on Instagram. We got the link right up top, along with a bunch of really cool Dolphins modeling, of course.
Nice. Appreciate you, man. As always, I'll get with you in a little bit. And Dwayne, as always, thank you so much, man. I'm glad we can get it working. This is a great show. We had a great time. Thank you to everybody who came on early in the show, giving their piece about Don Shula and what you remember about him and what he meant to you. I love, like I always tell y'all, I love all y'all. We want to celebrate people while they're here as well. So I celebrate every single one of you all doing what you're doing during these hard times in our country, taking care of your family, keeping yourself safe, loving yourself, and doing everything you got to do to wake up tomorrow. And I thank God for that every single day, man. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Rest in peace to Don Shula. We love you. We love your family. And we pray their strength and that they get through these times and knowing that your life was to be celebrated. Rest in peace, Don Shula. We love you forever and ever. And everybody else, this is TD Fans Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. See y'all soon. Peace, guys.